Now, I know over the past 8 years, we've all heard the most wild, insane, mindless rants and takes and freakouts from the left. But failed and fired CNN anchor Don Lemon has a meltdown and gives the most unhinged, racist, outrageous rant that I have ever heard. I mean, it's incoherent. He attacks Christians. It's racist. It's delusional. It is literally the craziest thing you have ever seen. Now let's get into it. Don Lemon is on his live stream talking to his viewers about a poll that they conducted regarding why Kamala Harris lost the election, and this is where the meltdown begins. Watch.
The poll that we have up now is, was it racism? Is it misogyny? And let me just read what it says. What do you think primarily put Trump in the White House? Inflation, racism, misogyny, Harris being a weak candidate, and uninformed electorate. So the interesting thing is you said inflation was 12%. I agree with that. You said that Harris being a weak candidate was 4%. I can agree with that. You said that uninformed electorate was 23%. I don't agree with that. I think it's higher than that. I think that many people, as I just my unscientific survey, I found that people were uninformed. I think there's a combination between that and this, racism and misogyny. 60% of you say that. That part of it, the racism and misogyny thing, is something that's really hard to tap into to find the truth about. People won't admit it. And they also have unconscious biases all the time. Why don't you like Kamala Harris? I don't know. I just don't like her. I don't like the sound of her voice. I don't like her laugh. I don't like those things. That's sexism.
So just to recap, 12% said inflation, the economy. 4% said Harris was a weak candidate. 22% uninformed electorate, which he said is too low. And 60% misogyny and racism. So 82% of the reason why Kamala Harris lost was misogyny and racism, and people were too stupid to understand what was going on. And then when he talks about his criteria for what qualifies as sexism, it's, I don't like Kamala, I don't like the way she laughs, I don't like her voice. So you're not allowed to dislike a person now? So if it's a woman or a person of color and you just so happen to dislike them, automatically, racism and sexism. What happens if you don't like a white person? Well, then it has to be, what, a legitimate and tangible reason that you don't like them because they're not afforded the privilege of being in some sort of oppressed group. I mean, once he started with this, I knew this rant was going to go off the wheels. But that's the problem with these people and their victim mentality and their identity politics, is they use race and gender as shields from their own incompetence. You're not allowed to criticize an individual because they're a person of color or a woman. And if you do, it's inherently bigoted. And if you try to scare people into not being able to criticize you, then what forces you to actually have to be competent and good at what you're doing? You can just coast behind the shame that you're going to impose on a person if they decide to call you out for your failures.